Minister Hendricks, Ministers, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's really a pleasure for me to join this energy transition dialogue and to highlight our efforts from a development policy perspective. Without sustainable energy, there can be no sustainable development and no substantial climate change mitigation. Everyone here will agree that this is true. Until recently, energy did not play a prominent role on the international development agenda. It was not even part of the Millennium Development Goals. Finally, that has changed, not least thanks to the tireless efforts of many of you. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, adopted in September last year by the heads of state and government of the United Nations member countries, and the Paris Climate Agreement have provided a new comprehensive framework for action for our energy, climate and development policies. The Sustainable Development Goal number 7, the universally binding development goal on sustainable energy, gives us a clear sense of direction and sets ambitious targets. We want to ensure access to affordable modern energy for all. We want to double the annual rate of improvement in energy efficiency, and we want to substantially increase the share of renewable energy in the global energy mix. This political backing is lending substantial impetus to the global energy transition. Now, we need to translate this impetus into tangible outcomes. One factor that will have to play an important role is the nationally determined contributions submitted by almost 190 countries as part of the Paris Climate Agreement. We will use the nationally determined contributions as a frame of reference for our development cooperation, and we will give targeted support to developing countries as they implement their NDCs. A global energy transition is a central goal of Germany's development policy. In Germany, we have gained quite a bit of experience on how to successfully transform the energy system, Energiewende, as we call it. But it's clear that a global Energiewende will be even much more complex and demanding than our German Energiewende is. There are no simple answers, of course. Challenges differ a lot from one country to another. A few simple figures illustrate this. 1.3 billion people, 1/5 of the world's population, have no electricity at all. 2.9 billion people depend on firewood, coal, dung and crop residue for cooking and heating, with all the consequences that this has for the environment and for humans. Global demand for energy will continue to rise by 40% in the period up to 2035. And 90% of that growth will be in developing countries and emerging economies. These figures show that the need for development is huge, but this is not only a matter of being able to meet the needs. One of the decisive issues for the future of humankind is how we will meet the rising demand for energy. We can only do this in a climate-friendly way if we increase energy generation from renewable resources on a massive scale. In Paris, we made a commitment to limit global warming to less than 2 degrees. This means that decarbonizing the energy sector is indispensable. So we need to invest in the right kind of infrastructure worldwide and immediately. Many developing countries now have a chance to embark on a low-carbon, sustainable development path right from the beginning, with no need to restructure old fossil systems. They can leapfrog many of the painful lessons that other countries had to learn in the course of industrialization. This will be much more cost-effective. In view of this, we decided in the G7 during Germany's presidency last year that we would support the Africa Renewable Energy Initiative. It is aimed at enabling the installation of an additional 10 gigawatts in renewable energy capacity on the African continent by 2020 already. This is intended to contribute to climate change mitigation and to improve people's access to affordable energy. In Paris, Minister Gerd Müller announced that Germany would contribute 3 billion euros to this African renewable energy initiative between 2015 and 2020. This means that we are the biggest supporter of this initiative. In total, the G7 and the European Commission, Sweden and the Netherlands committed more than 10 billion US dollars for this at the Paris conference. And as the German governor at the African Development Bank, I'm in particular pleased that the African Development Bank will implement this African Renewable Energy Initiative. Germany is also a founding member and supporter of the successful Energizing Development Program, a multi-donor effort. In Indonesia, for example, the program started in 2005. Since then, it has opened up access to affordable and safe energy for 30,000 households, 1,200 social institutions, and 2,100 micro and small enterprises. And worldwide, this program has provided 11 million households with clean and efficient cooking technologies. We are also supporting the development of sustainable energy systems on the basis of renewable energy through our bilateral development cooperation. We have relevant programs in 35 countries around the world. For a global Energiewende to happen, we first need many local Energiewende. That's why sustainable energy and climate-smart development form one of the areas with the highest levels of investment under German development cooperation, and that is about 3 billion euros in 2014. Programs vary a great deal depending on local needs, from efficient cook stoves all the way to the world's largest solar power station in Ouarzazate in Morocco. Our strategy is to work for a global energy transition made with Germany. We offer our partners first-class expertise on how to transform the energy system based on our own experience in Germany, but also on our experience from many years of development cooperation worldwide. For example, we foster the exchange of experience and knowledge on successful business models, on incentive systems such as feed-in tariffs, and on the development of institutional and human resource capacity. Of course, we also rely on our expertise and experience from many years of development cooperation with our partners. This enables us to propose needs-based solutions that are tailored to the stage of development of each national energy system. Let me give you two examples to highlight the success of this exchange of experience. One country where we are using our experience from Germany's development cooperation is Ghana. In Ghana, small and medium-sized enterprises in particular suffer under the shortage of electricity, which limits their productivity. With German support, Ghana is developing tailor-made tender procedures in order to facilitate the integration of large solar parks. Simultaneously, the country is fostering decentralized power generation through the introduction of net metering tariffs. Germany is also helping Ghana to give small and medium-sized enterprises access to energy through the multi-donor program Energizing Development. As part of the program, donors are working with local governments in 5 regions in Ghana in order to set up industrial zones. In these industrial zones, more than 400 enterprises now have access to electricity. Cabinet makers, welders, and many other businesses have set up shop there. They have already created more than 3,000 new jobs. And the second example, in India, we are sharing our experience from other countries regarding grid expansion and the construction of power lines. We are thus helping the country to expand and strengthen its national grid, because variable renewable energy can only be integrated if there is a well-developed grid as well. Of course, the global energy transition will have to be implemented in different ways, depending on the local and regional context. Still, our own experience from Germany will be, and in fact has already been, of interest to others. Many of our partner countries have been following our decisions with close attention. Even if we often belittle our achievements and prefer to highlight the challenges that remain, Germany's Energiewende has become a model for many countries around the world. They can see that it is in fact the most ambitious project worldwide for leading a highly industrialized economy away from fossil and nuclear power toward renewable energy. And ladies and gentlemen, just have a look outside at the weather here in Berlin. You can see here today that under these weather conditions, solar and wind plants are really running. How much more effective this must be in many, many countries around the world where the wind blows stronger and the sun shines brighter and longer than in Germany. So just come and see. If we, the world's fourth largest economy, can demonstrate that such change is possible without a decline in competitiveness, this will be a strong signal for a global energy transition. Our Renewable Energy Sources Act has already inspired many developing and emerging economies. More than 50 countries have now introduced similar legislation. Of course, these countries now also benefit from the experience which Germany gained when it amended the Act in 2014. Germany's Energiewende has greatly accelerated the expansion of renewable energy, not only in Germany, but around the world. The decline in world market prices for photovoltaics and wind energy is owed not least to the success of Germany's Energiewende. Ladies and gentlemen, if we want to ensure the survival of humankind on this planet, we need a global energy transition. To this end, we need to exchange knowledge on a global basis, and we need to learn from each other. This year's Berlin Energy Transition Dialogue again gives us an excellent opportunity to do this. The global energy transition must not leave anybody behind. On the contrary, it can and it must benefit everybody. So let us jointly work to make that happen. Thank you very much for your kind attention, and I wish you a fruitful discussion at this conference.